What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. This is Sports Corner, another addition to it. I am Nate the Great. I'm here today with Greg Soft-Lit Scalino.
How's it going, Nate?
I'm doing well.
Nate,
What we're going to do?
I hope that you don't become a big-time Seattle Seahawks fan now, bud.
Oh, yeah. I did not. Okay. For those of you that might not know, I want to say, I don't want to give like a time stamp on air, but I will soon be moving from Texas to Washington, so that's why he is saying that. But let's go right into the first topic. Since Greg, since you're the one that thought of this, I'm gonna go ahead and let you explain what it is.
Well, this first topic is going to be basically a top 3 list, and it's going to cover general sports. It's not going to be specifically one category each week. It could be 3 different topics, 3 different sports, just something in sports that maybe throughout history kind of caught our attention and everything, and maybe if we were able to take a look back and correct things, we possibly could. So, 3 things in sports that we wish had gone different, and things that really should be overturned to make things right. So,
yeah, I definitely like this segment. The first one, so I'm gonna go first on this. My first one is in 2008. 2008 Little League World Series. A World Series umpire. Basically what happened, it was like the regional final during the 2008 World Series. He had he basically the Little League umpire basically topples over. The fail was so funny. It was just kind of funny. They had to get so yeah, basically that's what happened. In 2008, an umpire basically just fell down. And then Thanksgiving Day. Do you remember? This happened back in 1998. That's my number 2 is football. Pittsburgh Steelers were playing the Detroit Lions, and there was a little bit of a fail going on with the coin toss.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they? I can't remember. Was that the one where it came up tails or something, and they kept saying that it was heads or the? I don't know. There was like a Steve Harvey moment or something in there where he said the wrong thing.
It was NHL. Well, it was actually I'm sorry. I'm reading at the next one actually. It was Bill Cowher was was there, and I think he was the referee at that time referee Phil Luckett. He decided that the Lions were more deserving and awarded them a ball. Even though Pittsburgh Steelers really actually deserved the ball because they won the coin toss. So my next one, this one will go back to 2013, the Outback Bowl. there was a whole big dilemma back. It was South Carolina's defensive and Jadeveon Clowney laid on Michigan's running back Vincent Smith, which forced a game-changing fumble. But the real story was that the play never should have happened because on the previous play, the Wolverines were obviously short of a fourth down attempt. So basically, Jeff, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, McConaughey, awarded the first down attempt towards Michigan. Did you see that game at all?
I don't think so.
College football back in 2013.
Yeah. I don't know. I may have seen it. I don't know. That was a while back, bud.
Yeah. So go with you next. Like, what are your three like referee fails or umpire fails if you're on baseball that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I brought this up on an earlier broadcast. I got Armando Galarraga's not so perfect game. I don't know if anybody will remember this, but on June 2nd of 2010, pitcher by the name of Armando Galarraga went out there and basically had a perfect game, no walks, no runs, no hits allowed and everything. And it came down to the final out of the game, and there was like a slow roller to first base, and Armando Galarraga went to cover first base, and the ball got to him in time. He tagged the base and everything, and then about almost a second later, the runner that hit the ball, the batter that hit the ball, ended up touching first base, and the umpire called him safe, which pretty much blew his perfect game, on the very last out. And the umpire's name was Jim Joyce. And Jim Joyce has since screamed up and down that they should go back in the record books and give him a perfect game because he completely blew the call, that it was a monumental error on his part to call the runner safe. So I think that's definitely one that baseball should really be willing to go back and review, because Armando Galarraga didn't have a great career, and he really wasn't a great pitcher. But on this night, June 2nd of 2010, he should have been up there he should have been, he should have reached immortal status, because baseball has had almost, I would say close to 400,000 games or so at this point, and there's only been about 25 or 26 perfect games in all of history out of all those games. So I definitely think that they should go back and change that status for Armando Galarraga. That's kind of his claim to fame, as the not so perfect game that was based on a blown call by Jim Joyce. Another one was this season when Madison Bumgarner pretty much mowed down the Atlanta Braves. Sorry, Ray, in 7 innings. He had a no-hitter.
That was so
should be
funny.
a no-hitter. I know that most games in Major League Baseball are 9 innings unless it's a weather issue or something like that. But I definitely think that Madison Bumgarner should get a no-hitter on this one, because that's what Rob Manfred and the powers that be in all of Major League Baseball came up with, was that doubleheaders games are going to be limited to 7 innings. So I think that if you pitch the 7 innings, that counts as a complete game. And I definitely think that Madison Bumgarner, under the new rules that they elected, and opted to have, I think that should go forward, and he should pick up a no-no on that one. That would be a huge bright spot for the Arizona Diamondbacks, because they don't really have much going on right now. And they're pretty much a lost franchise at this point. So that'd be a big pickup for them. And then, of course, I don't know how our viewers are going to chime in on this one, but I definitely think that after over 30 years or so, Pete Rose getting a lifetime ban from baseball, I personally think that he's paid his dues, and I definitely think that they made the point loud and clear, how they felt about it, and they definitely made an example out of Pete Rose. I really think that a lot of people didn't like Pete Rose. They were kind of higher up in Major League Baseball, and they definitely made an example of him. And I'm not saying that what he did with betting on games and some of the situations that came up through the investigation, I'm not saying any of that was right by any means, but Pete Rose was a legendary player, gave his all when he played, and I think that at least from a player standpoint, he should have the opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame because he's the all-time hits leader, all-time games leader, at-bats leader. He was just a tremendous ball player for over 20 seasons in Major League Baseball, and I think that on a player level, he should have the opportunity to redeem himself and get elected. But I think that Major League Baseball has no intentions of that, so I may be wasting my breath. But I definitely think that that's definitely something that the higher-ups in Major League Baseball got wrong, and I think that he should have been suspended from baseball for a while, but I don't think that it should have been a lifetime thing.
I have an honorable mention. 2008, there was a college football game between South Carolina and LSU. Basically, an SEC umpire, guy named Wilbur Hackett, decided to relieve his playing days with an intentional block on former game clock's quarterback Steven Garcia. The play was repeated a number of times in slow motion, and it seemed like Hackett made a move towards Garcia, squared his shoulders, and took him down, basically giving him a sack. He sacks a quarterback in the middle of a game. It was intentional, pretty much. It wasn't. Okay, so then I'll do one more because it's gonna be a transition. Because the next segment actually after this is talking about Game 3 of the Bucs and Suns. So the last one that I'm doing is going to transition into this. So the Orlando Magic at this time were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let's see, where can I find it? Oh, yeah, right here. Oh, no, not that one. Oh. Basically, a player on that team was a player on that team basically handed the ball. The ball went out of bounds in 2008, and instead of the referee just pretty much passing the ball to the guy that's supposed to be shooting and basically doing the shooting and that kind of stuff out from the offside part, he goes off and does a backward pass shot attempt towards the net and towards the bucket, and misses by like a long shot.
Oh, wow. It just had to be my Oklahoma City Thunder, a game with my Oklahoma City Thunder.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, game 3. For those of you that watched this show and watched Her in the Huddle, you guys would know that I made a hot take. Well, it really wasn't a hot take for me, but it was a hot take for Rachel Hill. I said that the Phoenix Suns were going to win this series in 5 games. But the one game that the Milwaukee Bucks were going to win was either game 2 or game 3. Well, game 3 happened, and the Milwaukee Bucks ended up winning 120-100. It wasn't really a win; it was a blowout win. So, Greg, I'm going to give this to you. You know, what is your impressions on this game? What do the Suns need to do to bounce back?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if the Suns. I think the Suns are still in great shape. You know, they're up 2-1. For the first 2 games of this series, the Bucks look completely lost. I mean, other than Game 2 heroics by Giannis, who put in 40 plus points in Game 2 and Game 3, there wasn't much really going on for the Bucks. You know, in games 1 and 2, they just seemed out of sync. They just seemed completely lost. They didn't look like they were ready to play. And then for some reason they go home in game 3. They snap out of it. Giannis again has a very monumental effort. 40 plus points, over 12 rebounds. Was all over the place. He definitely set the tone. Nobody could stop him. So that's 2 games in a row that they stopped Giannis. So the Suns have a few options here, what they can do, and I don't really like this from coaching and playing basketball, but you know, there's a few approaches where the Suns could say, you know what, Giannis is going to do his thing, but no one else is going to do anything. So you kind of try to stop Giannis, but you realize that he's just too much, and he's going to get his 30 plus a night or whatever he can give them. But then you shut Chris Middleton down. You shut Holiday down. You take away all their other options. So then it's basically you have a great line score for Giannis, like they had in Game 2. But the Bucks seem to have a little bit more help in Game 3 too. It seemed like their bench really helped out a little bit in that one. They've been kind of non-existent. But another thing that you can do is you can try to get some decent minutes off your bench. Maybe find a Bruce Bowen type player that can lock down, play some pretty good lockdown defense and try to slow Giannis down. Maybe utilize some fouls, you know, before he can get to the free throw line.
I want to address. Okay, so before you move on, I have a question. Isn't the rule in the NBA where if you get 6 fouls, you're fouled out of the game, you can't play in the game anymore?
Right.
How come did Ayton get 5 for the Phoenix Suns and he never actually picked up his 6th foul that disqualified him, and now he never actually picked up his 6th foul? But how come wasn't he on the bench most of the time?
Yeah, I don't know, because if he didn't get a 6th foul, there was no reason for him to have to sit. He wasn't disqualified on fouls or anything, so I really don't know what was going on there. But yeah, in the NBA you get 6, in college and high school you get 5. You know, before you're done for the night. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know why Ayton wasn't in there anymore if he only had five fouls. That's a good question. But I think for the Suns, you know, they're just going to have to keep getting in the flow. They're going to have to rely on their 3rd and 4th options every now and then, because the Bucks are going center in on Paul and Booker. Paul was the driving force for games 1 and 2. He definitely set the tone, getting 30-plus points a night, dishing off mad assists and everything, just playing like a madman. I mean, playing like he's 25 instead of 36, So the Bucs are really going to come out and try to do what they can to limit the shooting of Booker and try to prevent a lot of easy hoops and everything. So they're going to try to keep Paul and Booker out of the middle. But I think that what the Suns need to do is they just need to play their game, try to get the ball down low a little bit more, work off of Ayton. He's got some decent moves down there, and I think that they're going to have to have a few guys like Cameron Johnson and Crowder are going to have to step up a little bit because if their defense is focused on Paul and Booker, Ayton and Crowder and Cameron are going to have to really step up and start hitting some shots and stuff because it's almost like a 2-on-2 matchup really with just a bunch of other fill-ins. I mean, you got Giannis and Middleton and you got Booker and Paul, and then you got some big time role players going on. So I think the Suns are going to be fine. I think that they're going to take this in 5 or 6 games. What do you think, Nate?
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that the Suns in 5. I've been saying that since game 1.
I really don't think that Paul is going to continue, to score 30 plus. I don't think that Giannis has 3 or 4 more 40 plus point nights in there to keep it kind of close. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought of something. Maybe so the Bucs beat them 120-100. Ayton fouled out 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. So really, I'm wondering if he pulled them out because how much they were trailing by.
Well, yeah, they may have been trying to get him some rest. I mean, there's really no need to use your starting big in a 20-point game. I would say if you're down by 20 at about the 5-minute mark, it's time to start thinking about getting some guys some rest because that's almost an impossible comeback effort there. So they might have just been trying to get him a little bit more rest and everything. So.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. Yeah, let's move on. And actually, there's another game that.
Who do you got winning this thing?
I already said Suns in 5.
Suns in 5. Okay, so game 4 is going to go to the Suns tomorrow. What do you think they're going to win by? Or you think they're going to come back and win by about 10 or so?
No, actually, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like anywhere from a 2-point difference to a 5-point difference. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's an overtime game as well.
Yeah, it might go the distance. I just see the fire in Chris Paul. He's wanting this so badly, and he's a seasoned veteran. He still has mad game. He can handle the basketball like nobody's business. And he's got a lot of drive, and it's just basically Chris Paul and a bunch of young up and comers, and then you got a definite all-star, all-world player in the making in Devin Booker. But it's kind of nice to see. They made a reference not too long ago about the Lakers and Nets was the championship that everybody wanted, but everybody's getting the Bucs and the and the Suns and everything, but I still think it's really good basketball. I think both teams are really good. I don't think that I don't really want to say too much about the Bucs because I've been wrong about them every time I've been on here. So I thought that they were done with the Nets, and then everybody ended up in the ER. So yeah, we'll see.
That's another game that I called out. I mean, okay, to be fair, if there wasn't all those injuries, it probably would have been like Nets 5. But That's another game that I called out, and I got that right. Bucs and 7.
Oh yeah.
So let's transition away from basketball a little bit and go to soccer. Italy won the Euro 2020 tournament, and so they're literally defending champs, beating England, which England basically broke their curse. That they haven't. Well, I don't believe in curses, but they haven't. They won their first conference round match over Denmark. They haven't won a conference round outside of this year since the 60s. A lot of people have referred this team as the Dallas Cowboys because they haven't been able to win anything. Still, that's kind of true this year because Italy won and not England. But can you see this team being winning it all next year?
Yeah, I definitely can. There was a lot of great soccer in this entire tournament, and this was just one of those games. I mean, you got a championship game that comes down to 3-2 on penalties. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, other than maybe the World Cup from many years ago. Well, not many years ago, but remember when Brandy Chastain for the U.S. Women's soccer team hit that game winner, in overtime. And that one where she took her jersey off and ran around the field and stuff. I mean, soccer doesn't get much better than this, or hockey or something when there's like a situation. It really doesn't. The NFL overtime has absolutely nothing on soccer penalty kicks or a sudden death shootout or something in hockey. So, but to answer your question, I definitely can see this team kind of doing something in the next year or two. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Now here's some stats that I've learned about the posts and some post insights after the match. Italy have won their second European Championship title, which is their first in 53 years. Last time they did it was in 1968. The longest ever gap between championships in a tournament by a single nation. Which, by the way, the previous one was Spain, 44-year wait from 1964 to 2008. By the way, if England wins next year, they would basically break what Italy did this year. Because I think England, the last time they won it was in 1967.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while, But I got an interesting report coming out of Dallas. Did you hear what happened at Cowboys training camp?
No.
Well, they ended up having to get a whole bunch of people involved because there was
Well, he hopped on so I'm actually going to read some more stats that I found out after the game. Hold on, he's back.
I just wanted to tell you that there was an interesting thing going on in Dallas not too long ago at their training camp. There was a really weird white substance that was on the field, and they ended up having to call the authorities and get it checked out. And they ended up having to bring a whole bunch of people in to see what it was. They didn't know what it was, so they got all the Dallas Cowboys off the field and was inspected and everything. And I guess they came back and they said that weird substance was the goal line. And Dallas has never really been able to sniff the goal line, so that's why they were calling the authorities. So, yeah, they were scared to death.
When I leave the DFW and move over to Seattle, there's not going to be a lot of people who can pick at me on about making fun of the Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
All right. Italy has won their 6th major tournament title. 4 of them were World Cups, and 2 of them were Euros. Among European nations, only Germany has won more. How many? Now, this is a quiz question for you. How many titles, Euros and World Cups combined, has Germany won?
You know what? I'm gonna say 14.
Higher. I mean, not higher. Lower.
9.
Lower.
7.
Yes. 7. 7. They're the only team to have more championships than Italy.
Wow.
England have only won 22% of their major tournament shootouts, your World Cup and Euros, which is, by the way, the lowest ratio of any European nation that have been involved in 3 or more. Yeah. So yeah, that is kind of crazy. So
that is crazy.
It explains they haven't been. They do have this big fan base and all, but yeah, they're pretty much a lot like the Dallas Cowboys until pretty much about this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about your Cowboys, Nate, but maybe you can. Maybe
they're no longer going to be local
for the Hawks, but
they're no longer going to be local.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Are you gonna miss the Rangers games?
Yeah, I am.
You're gonna have to get used to Safeco Field.
Let's transition away from soccer and move into hockey. The very last game, Game 5, Montreal Canadiens versus Tampa Bay Lightning. The very last game, Tampa Bay Lightning win that one 1-0. It was very low scoring, not a type of Tampa Bay Lightning game that I expected.
Well, that had a lot to do with Carey Price. He was phenomenal. He just didn't get defensive help. But that's the thing about the Canadiens, and I've been saying it, is as Carey Price goes, that's how the team goes, because he's their best player, but they didn't give him a lot of defensive help. The Canadiens just didn't step up defensively to really help him, and so he did a tremendous job, but there's this Tampa Bay was just way too fast and got way too many shots off, and that's what it was. They just put too much pressure, and if you got by him, and then Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay, he pretty much shut everything down that came his way, and Montreal didn't really put up a great offensive force anyways, but whatever came Vasilevsky's way, he was able to stop most of it, so.
Didn't they make a trade pretty recently? Lightning?
I think they did make a trade because they were still trying to figure out what to do. They were definitely missing Kucherov's presence in the lineup. Luckily, they were able to get Kucherov back in time for the playoffs. I think that's kind of what the Lakers were hoping to do, was nurse everybody and then make a championship run, and that didn't quite work out. But it worked out for the Lightning. Hey, your best player is going to have surgery, and then he'll be back in time for the playoffs, and then he'll play like an all-star player from the get-go. It's ridiculous. I mean, he came in and basically played about 12 games this season, and he tore it up. He looked like nothing ever happened to him. Only in hockey. I don't know if that would ever work in basketball or anything. Hey, let's just let our key guys sit out and try to stumble into the playoffs. And surprise, we're back.
I don't think they're gonna have that luck next year. It's just to be honest. I mean, the past 30 years, there has not been one team to win a Stanley Cup in 3 separate seasons. Now, 3 back-to-back seasons, excuse me. But the Pittsburgh Penguins were the closest. They've won 2 back-to-back, did not make the Stanley Cup in the following year, but they did. They basically won 3 Stanley Cups in 4 years.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really good. But yeah, the days of the Oilers, the days of the Islanders, you're talking about from the early 80s to mid 80s, possibly early 90s, those days of winning, 4 championships in 5 years or winning 3 in a row, stuff like that. Those days aren't really there in any sport that much. We've seen some three-peats. I've seen the Lakers. I've seen the Bulls.
I mean,
but
it doesn't. But the Celtics have
too often. Oh yeah. Back in the day, especially back in the day when Bill Russell was there. I mean, shoot, they won like 11 championships in 13 years or something like that. But which is just absolutely insane. But I don't know. I think that with the expansion draft and stuff going on, I think that Tampa Bay is going to miss out. I think they're going to lose not a really huge key player for them, but I think with the expansion draft, I think that somebody that provides a lot more than what they think is kind of going to get picked up by the Kraken. And I just think that some of these teams coming up are willing to move some pieces around and spend some money. So I don't think that Tampa Bay, I think you're right. I think that it's going to be really tough for Tampa Bay to three-peat, even though they
wouldn't be surprised if they
make
the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. I think they are going to make the playoffs next year. I don't think they're going to make the Stanley Cup. No. Well, I mean, that's all I really had to say. Greg, any final thoughts before we give this a close?
Well, I want people that are tuning in to the NBA championship to realize that, you might have wanted the Nets. You might have wanted the Lakers. You might have wanted bigger name teams, bigger market teams in there going at it rather than Phoenix or the Bucs. But I think that we're seeing some really good basketball, in these playoffs and in these finals. So I think it's just kind of a tell of 2 Milwaukees. Are you going to get the team that's completely locked in, or are you going to get the one that's just dazed and confused like we saw in games 1 and 2? So I just want to say that, regardless of whether people think that the Suns are only there because every team that they play has somebody having surgery or big time players like Anthony Davis or Jamal Murray out. But the thing is, that's just part of the game. I know that the Suns have been extremely lucky health-wise. They haven't really lost anybody, especially during this run, due to any injuries or anything like that. But that's just part of the game. Late in the season, players are going to get injured and stuff. We've seen some major injuries. Kyrie Irving.
Oh yeah.
We saw James Harden, Jamal Murray, Kawhi Leonard. That is. We see injuries all the time. I don't think we've really seen this many big names all in one playoff setting get injured. But I just hope that people are enjoying it. I hope that they're not disappointed that it's not a huge market team, because this is fun basketball to watch, and I'm really enjoying it. This is the first NBA Finals in a long time that doesn't have Tim Duncan or LeBron or Steph or something, and it's nice to get some new names. It's nice to see some new names out there. I don't know how you feel, Nate, but it's nice.
Yeah,
to
just take out Tim Duncan. This is the first Finals stat. This is the first Finals since 2010 where Steph or LeBron was not in it.
Yeah. So I kind of like it. As much as I like seeing elite players like Steph and LeBron, it's nice to see some fresh faces. It's nice to see Chris Paul in there. 16 years. And he did it the right way. He never did hop on a super team. He never did kind of complain or moan about where he was heading. I mean, he spent a year or two in Oklahoma City Thunder, which really didn't have, which definitely wasn't on the fast track to a championship by any means. But he just came in and he played his game. And the point I'm going with this is, you get a player like Chris Paul, you need to enjoy it, because he's 36. He's not going to be around forever. And in my opinion, and I don't know how you feel, Nate, but I think that Chris Paul is one of the most underrated and disrespected players of all time. I think that a lot of people have overlooked his talent because they're worried about, well, you haven't won a championship. Well, there's a lot of people that haven't won championship.
I hate that conversation. I hate that conversation about the championship. Championships is a team stat. Not kidding. I had this conversation with a guy who's a New York Giants fan. No, not Freddie. It's a different one.
Yeah.
I said Eli Manning is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. And he saw, what? What? He beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. I said, yeah. But he also has 119 record. Well, and then he goes, well, yeah, but that's a team stat. Well, 119 record is a team stat, but beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl is not.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. And that's what I'm saying. I would never, if I was looking at Chris Paul's stats and looking at his career, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I have no doubt that he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. But I think that when you look at his body of work and everything, it's very sad that the only thing that people can come up with is he's never won a championship. Well, I think that's all about to change. But even if he didn't get a championship, in my book, he's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely agree. Well, this has been Nate the Great and Greg Soft Lip Scalno signing out. See you guys next week.